My mother convinced my boyfriend to marry my sister. She told him I was too weak, too emotional, and that my sister Lily was stronger and better for him. I found out the truth the day they announced their engagement. In my parents' living room, while I was sitting right there like a guest in my own life, they thought I would just sit quietly and accept it. Instead, I planned a revenge that would make sure none of them ever saw me as weak again. My name is Harley. I'm 24, and if you had met me a year ago, you'd probably describe me as soft, quiet, and maybe a little anxious. My mother used a different word for it. Fragile, she would say, like it was a diagnosis. Harley's always been too fragile for the real world. Meanwhile, my younger sister Lily was the strong one, the golden child, the one with the perfect hair, the perfect grades, the loud, confident laugh that filled every room. I grew up in that shadow, slowly learning that in my mother's world, there were only two types of women, strong or useless. So when I brought my boyfriend Ethan home for the first time, I should have known she'd turn it into some twisted competition, but I had no idea just how far she'd go, or how much I'd lose before I finally chose myself. I met Ethan at work. We were both junior designers at the same marketing agency. He was the quiet kind of attractive, not the loud, cocky guy in every meeting, but the one who stayed back to help when the printer jammed or someone's deadline exploded. I liked that about him. No theatrics, just kind. We started as friends, swapping playlists and complaining about clients. One late night, after a brutal pitch, we ended up sharing an Uber home. It was raining. The city lights were streaked across the window, and he just blurted out, "Harley, can I be honest? I really like you. Like, more than coworkers complain about clients like you." I still remember the warmth in my chest when he said that. No one had ever chosen me in such a clear, straightforward way. I smiled. Good, because I really like you too. We started dating, and for a year it was honestly beautiful. We cooked together, stayed up too late talking about dumb things and big dreams. He knew about my anxiety, my panic attacks, my complicated relationship with my mother. He was patient, grounding, gentle. So when he said, "I want to meet your family," my stomach dropped, but I still said yes, because I loved him. And some part of me hoped that, just this once, my mother would be happy for me. The night I brought Ethan home, I could feel my mother already judging him from the moment he stepped through the door. She was in one of her perfect outfits: cream blouse, tailored pants, pearls, like she was meeting a business partner instead of her daughter's boyfriend. My dad, Mark, was quieter as usual, hovering in the background, pretending to read something on his phone. Lily? She came downstairs in a fitted dress. Her mother would have called too much if it had been on me. "Mom, Dad, this is Ethan," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Ethan held out his hand. "It's really nice to meet you, Mr. and Mrs. Collins." My mother's smile was sharp and polite. "We've heard so much about you," she said. Then she looked at me. "Harley rarely brings anyone home. She gets attached easily." It was a dig disguised as a comment. Ethan didn't seem to catch it, but I did. Like I always did. Lily slid up next to me, whispering just loud enough, "Relax, Har. She's in one of her moods." Through dinner, my mother interrogated Ethan. "So, what are your long-term goals? Do you see yourself as the main provider? You know Harley can be sensitive. Are you ready for that kind of responsibility?" I wanted to sink into the floor. Ethan handled it gracefully, answering calmly, sometimes even with a joke. At one point, Lily laughed loudly at something he said, and my mother's eyes flicked between them, almost like she was evaluating. I didn't like that look. Later, when we were driving back to our apartment, Ethan squeezed my hand. "Your mom's intense," he said, chuckling. I winced. "I'm sorry. She's just old-fashioned. She thinks if I cry once, I'm emotionally unfit for life." He glanced over at me. "For what it's worth, I love that you feel things deeply. It's one of the reasons I fell for you." I believed him, and that made what happened next hurt even more. After that first dinner, my mother seemed unusually interested in Ethan. She started texting me. "How is Ethan's job? Still stable? Is he good with money? Does he ever talk about kids?" And then subtly, "Lily says Ethan is very confident in conversation." She was impressed. "Ethan and Lily had a nice chat in the kitchen while you were in the bathroom. They have similar views on things." It sounded harmless at first, but then I noticed something. Whenever we visited, My mother would somehow engineer moments where Ethan and Lily ended up talking alone, asking them to grab something from the car together, or check the Wi-Fi in the other room. I tried to brush it off. I trusted Ethan. I trusted Lily too. We had grown up together, shared clothes, secrets, late night talks. Plus, Lily had her own life, her own boyfriend, Jared. They'd been on and off for years. So when my anxiety started whispering, "Something's wrong," I told it to shut up. I wish I hadn't. Things started to shift a few months later. Ethan became distant, not all the time, just enough for me to notice. He'd cancel date nights last minute, saying he was too tired or had extra work. He stopped, reaching for my hand automatically. When I told him about a bad day, he'd listen, but his eyes seemed far away. One night, I finally asked, "Ethan, are we okay?" We were lying in bed, the room dim, the city, a soft hum outside. He hesitated. "Yeah, we're fine. I don't know, Harley. You've been really anxious lately." I blinked. "I've always been anxious. That's not new." He sighed. "I know, but I was talking to your mom the other day." My stomach dropped. "You were talking to my mom? About what?" He paused, then said, "She's just worried about you. She thinks you're not really stable enough for big commitments yet, like marriage or kids." It felt like someone squeezed my chest. "And you agree?" I whispered. He swallowed. "I didn't say that, but she made some points. She said Lily's always been the stronger one, more grounded, less emotional." My throat burned. "Oh," I said. "So now my mother is your relationship counselor too?" He sat up, frustrated. "Harley, that's not what I cut him off. "Did she also tell you Lily is better for you?" Silence. He didn't deny it. That silence said everything. I turned away from him and stared at the wall. The tears, hot and bitter. My mother was poisoning him, and he was starting to drink it. The full truth came out in the ugliest way possible. It was a Sunday afternoon. My parents had invited us over for a family lunch. Mom said she had a surprise. I had a bad feeling. My anxiety was humming all morning, but Ethan insisted we go. "It'll be fine," he said. "Maybe she's finally coming around." We walked into my parents' living room, and I knew instantly something was off. The furniture was rearranged. There were balloons, a cake. My aunt and uncle were there. Lily stood near the fireplace in a white dress that looked suspiciously bridal. My mother clapped her hands together when she saw us. Perfect timing. She said brightly, "Everyone's here now." My heart raced. "What's going on?" Lily looked everywhere but at me. Ethan's hand slipped from mine, and then my mother said the words that shattered my world. "Harley, darling, we wanted the whole family together to share the news. Ethan and Lily are engaged." Everything went silent. Engaged. My brain refused to process it. I stared at Ethan. "Tell me this is a joke," I said, my voice barely a whisper. He couldn't look at me. "Harley, I was going to talk to you," he murmured. "Talk to me?" I laughed, but it came out hollow and broken. "You were going to talk to me? About asking my sister to marry you?" My mother stepped forward, the fake sympathy dripping from her voice. "Harley, sweetie, don't make a scene. This is hard enough for everyone." "For everyone?" I stared at her. "You did this, didn't you?" She didn't flinch. "I simply told Ethan the truth. You're not ready for this kind of commitment. You're too fragile, too emotional. Lily is stronger. She's better suited for the kind of life he wants." Lily finally spoke, her voice trembling. "Harley, I didn't mean for it to happen like this. Ethan and we just connected. It wasn't planned." I wanted to scream, to throw something, to break every beautiful, curated thing in that room. Instead, I heard myself say, very calmly, "How long?" Ethan finally looked at me. His eyes were red. "We started talking more after that weekend. Your mom invited me over to help with the garden." I remembered that weekend. I had stayed back because of a work deadline. Ethan had gone alone. My mother had insisted it was no big deal. "We didn't cheat at first," Ethan said quickly. "We just talked. Your mom said you needed space, that you were overwhelmed, that it might be best if I moved on." I finished for him. He flinched. "And you just believed her?" I asked. "About me? About what I can handle." He hesitated. "She made it sound like it was what you wanted, like you'd be relieved." I looked at my mother, who stood there, arms folded, no remorse in her eyes. "I wanted you happy," she said simply. "Even if you didn't know what was best for you." My vision blurred with tears. I walked out. I don't even remember how I got to the car. I just remember my dad's voice faintly calling my name and me ignoring it for the first time in my life. That day, I lost my boyfriend, my sister, and whatever illusions I had left about my mother. But I also gained something else, a line I would never let anyone cross again. The weeks after that were a blur of crying, not eating, sleeping at random hours, and replaying every red flag I had ignored. My friend Zoe practically moved into my apartment. "Drink," she'd say, forcing a glass of water into my hand. "Breathe, then rant." I ranted a lot. How could she do that to me? I sobbed one night. "She's my mother, Zoe. She's supposed to protect me, not auction off my boyfriend to my sister." Zoe rubbed my back. "Your mom doesn't see you, Har. She sees a version of you she made up. And she's been using that version to justify being horrible for years." I started therapy. At first, it was just me crying for an hour straight while my therapist, Dr. Parker, gently asked questions like, "When was the first time you remember your mother calling you fragile? How often has she compared you to Lily? What do you think you deserve from the people you love?" Slowly, painfully, I began to see a pattern. My mother had never wanted a daughter like me, sensitive, creative, non-confrontational. She tolerated me, but admired Lily. And now she'd finally done what she always wanted. Replace me with the better version. For months, I blocked them all. My mother, Lily, Ethan. I ignored their calls, their texts, the emails that said, "You're overreacting. We didn't mean to hurt you. You should be happy for us." I deleted every photo of Ethan and me from my phone. I boxed up the hoodie he'd left at my place, the necklace he'd given me for our 1-year anniversary. Then, one day, I found something I hadn't expected. Proof. I was cleaning my inbox, trying to clear out old newsletters and junk, when I saw it, an email from my mother to Ethan, sent months before the engagement. I must have been CC'd accidentally and never noticed it in the flood of other messages. The subject line read, "Being honest about Harley." My hands shook as I opened it. "Ethan, I'm only saying this because I care about both of you. Harley has always struggled emotionally. She breaks easily. You've seen how she gets when stressed. I worry she will never be strong enough to be a wife and mother in the way you deserve. Lily, on the other hand, has always been resilient. She doesn't crumble. She would be an incredible partner to a man with ambition like yours. I can see the way you talk when you're here. The chemistry is obvious. I think, deep down, you know this too. Sometimes the kindest thing we can do is choose the person who can actually walk beside us, not the one we feel obligated to stay with." Margaret, my own mother, had written this about me. Not only that, she had pushed him, explicitly. I dug deeper. I checked the shared iCloud notes she had accidentally linked with me years ago. In one of the folders, I found a note titled, "Talking Points for Ethan." It was a list. Harley cannot handle stress. She had that panic attack in college over one exam. She cries too much. She doesn't like confrontation. Will avoid conflicts instead of facing them. Lily is more practical, more stable, long-term. Harley will drag you down. There it was in writing. I wasn't just collateral damage. I was a problem to be solved. I took screenshots of the email, the notes, the messages where my mother had invited Ethan over when I wasn't there. The text she sent me, pretending everything was normal, while she was orchestrating the switch in the background. For the first time in months, my tears weren't just from sadness. They were from anger, cold, focused anger. I wasn't going to smash windows or throw drinks. That's not who I am. But I was going to do something that would make sure the world saw my mother and sister for what they really were. And I knew exactly when to do it. The engagement party. The invitation arrived in the mail a month later. Cream cardstock, gold lettering. "You are cordially invited to celebrate the engagement of Lily Collins and Ethan Carter." There was a handwritten note at the bottom in Lily's loopy handwriting. "I hope you can come. Har. It would mean a lot to me if we could heal and move forward together. Love you." Heal. Move forward. I almost tore the invitation in half, but then I stopped. No, I was done being the girl who broke easily. I put the invitation on the counter and stared at it. Zoe walked into the kitchen, saw the look on my face, and froze. "Oh no," she said. "What happened now?" I slid the invitation to her. She read it, then looked back at me. "You're not going, right?" I took a breath. "I'm going. Her eyes widened. Harley, I'm going, I repeated, my voice steady. But not for them. What are you planning? She asked cautiously. I unlocked my phone and showed her the screenshots. Her jaw dropped. She actually wrote this? Yep, I said. And Ethan read it. And still chose her. Zoe stared at me, then slowly smiled a dangerous, proud smile. Okay, she said. Then let's make sure they remember this engagement party for the rest of their lives. My plan wasn't violent or illegal or anything dramatic like in movies. It was simple. Tell the truth, publicly. But timing mattered. I knew my mother would insist on speeches. She loved a microphone more than anything. She'd degrade me in private, but in public she'd brag about her perfect family, her strong daughters, her future son-in-law. So I decided my revenge would be a speech too. I wrote it carefully. Not wild or hysterical. Calm, precise. Like a lawyer presenting evidence. Zoe helped me refine it. Cut that part, she said at one point. It sounds like you're apologizing. I frowned. I guess I default to that. Not today you don't, she said firmly. I printed the screenshots and backed them up to a cloud drive. I set up a timed email to send them to certain family members right as I started speaking, just in case my mother tried to shut me down. Paranoid? Maybe. But I'd learned to stop underestimating her. The night of the engagement party, I put on a simple black dress. Nothing flashy. My hair was in soft waves. Minimal makeup. I looked like myself. But not the version of me who would crumble. The version of me who would stand. The venue was a fancy restaurant with chandeliers and a private room. Everything was white and gold. There were flowers on every table. Ethan looked uncomfortable in his suit. Lily looked radiant in a white cocktail dress. My mother looked like a queen. She spotted me as soon as I walked in. Harley, she exclaimed, sweeping over to hug me. I'm so glad you came. This is very mature of you. I stepped back from her embrace. You wanted me here, I said quietly. So I'm here. She blinked at my tone, then pasted on a smile. Well, tonight is about love and family. Let's not ruin it, okay? Wouldn't dream of it, I said. Ethan approached, hands in his pockets. Harley, he said awkwardly. You look good. I looked him straight in the eye for the first time in months. You look exactly like someone who believes everything my mother says, I replied. He flinched but said nothing. Lily came up and hugged me. Thank you for coming, she whispered. It means a lot. I didn't hug her back. Does it? I asked. Does it really? She pulled away, her smile faltering. My mother clapped her hands. Everyone, please find your seats. We'll start with dinner, then a few words from the happy couple and family. Zoe sat beside me at our table, squeezing my hand under the white tablecloth. You ready? She murmured. I nodded. More than I've ever been. After dessert, my mother took the mic. Thank you all for coming to celebrate Lily and Ethan, she said, glowing. As a mother, there is no greater joy than seeing your children find partners who truly complement them. My jaw clenched. Lily has always been so strong, so steady, she continued. And Ethan is ambitious, driven. They are a perfect match. Some people just fit. I felt the words like needles under my skin. She finished with a toast and then, to my surprise, said, and now, I'd like to invite my eldest daughter, Harley, to say a few words. My heart raced. She invited me to speak. She really believed I'd stand up there and give a blessing to my own betrayal. I stood up slowly, ignoring the way my legs trembled. Zoe squeezed my hand once, then let go. I walked to the front of the room. The mic felt heavier than I expected. Hi, I began, my voice echoing slightly. I'm Harley. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Lily's older sister, and Ethan's ex-girlfriend. A ripple moved through the room. I saw my mother's eyes widen. She hadn't expected that. I took a breath. My hands were steady now. I wasn't sure I was going to come tonight, I said. Because, well, watching your ex marry your sister isn't exactly a Pinterest dream scenario. A few people laughed nervously. But I did come, I continued. Because I realized something. This isn't just a story about a breakup or an engagement. It's a story about choices and about how people decide who is strong and who is weak. I glanced at my mother. For most of my life, I've been called fragile, I said. Too emotional, too sensitive. My mother likes that word, fragile. It justifies a lot for her. My mom stood abruptly. Harley, I think that's enough. I held up a hand. You invited me to speak, Mom. I'm speaking. The room went very quiet. I continued. When Ethan and I were together, I trusted him. I trusted my family. I believed that, even if we had problems, they would be solved with honesty and respect. I looked at Ethan now. His face was pale. But months before this engagement was announced, I said, my mother sent Ethan an email. She told him I was too emotionally unstable to be a wife, that I would drag him down, and that Lily was stronger, better suited, a more resilient choice. I pulled out my phone. I didn't know about that email at the time, I said. I found it later. Along with this, I turned my screen so those near the front could see the screenshot of her talking points for Ethan note. She made a list, I said, my voice steady, of all the reasons I wasn't good enough, and all the ways Lily was better. She didn't talk to me. She didn't ask me how I felt. She decided for me. She decided I was too fragile to deserve the life I wanted. Someone gasped. My mother's face had gone red. How dare you go through my private notes? How dare you make them about me? I shot back. I went on. Then, while I thought my relationship was just going through a rough patch, my mother engineered alone time between Ethan and Lily. She told him I needed space, that it would be kinder to leave me, that Lily would be the stronger choice. I looked directly at Ethan. You knew this, I said, and you still came into my apartment, into my bed, into my life, pretending things were just complicated. While you were already halfway out the door, my mother opened for you. He swallowed hard. Harley, I didn't let him finish. I'm not here to stop your engagement, I said. If you two want each other, you can have each other. I'm not fighting for someone who could be talked out of loving me by a few emails and talking points. I turned to the guests, but I am here to say this. Being sensitive doesn't make you weak. Having anxiety doesn't make you broken. Crying doesn't make you fragile. My voice shook slightly, but I didn't stop. What makes you weak, I said, is choosing convenience over loyalty, letting someone else decide who you should love, and calling cruelty honesty to make yourself feel better. I looked at my mother one last time. You spent my whole life telling me I was too fragile for the real world, I said quietly. But the truth is, you've been using fragile as an excuse to hurt me without feeling guilty. I handed the mic back. Oh, I added, almost as an afterthought, and for those of you who think I'm exaggerating, check your phones, right on cue. The soft chime of notifications rippled around the room as the timed email went out, containing screenshots of the email and note. My mother's jaw dropped as people started silently reading. Lily stared at me, tears in her eyes. I didn't stay to watch the fallout. I walked back to Zoe, picked up my bag, and left. Later, Zoe filled me in on what happened after I walked out. My dad had followed me to the parking lot, but I'd already gotten into Zoe's car, inside the restaurant apparently. Chaos ensued. Ethan demanded to know if everything in the screenshots was real. My mother tried to spin it as taken out of context, but the words were clear. Lily realized, maybe for the first time, that she had been cast as the strong one in a story that required me to be the weak one, and that our mother had never really loved us equally. Only comparatively. The engagement didn't end that night, but it cracked. A week later, Lily texted me. I called off the engagement. I didn't know everything. I'm so sorry, Harley. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I replied, I appreciate the apology. I'm not ready to have you in my life right now. I hope one day we can talk. But not yet. My mother sent me an email calling me dramatic and cruel, saying I had embarrassed the family. I didn't respond. I blocked her, for once. I chose silence not because I was afraid, but because I was done explaining my right to be treated like a human being. Ethan tried calling too. I let it go to voicemail. Harley, I'm so sorry, he said. I was stupid. I let your mom get in my head. I should have come to you. Can we talk? No, we could not talk. I deleted the voicemail. It's been months since the engagement party. I still go to therapy. I still have bad days. I still cry sometimes. But now, when I cry, it's not because I feel powerless. It's just because I'm human. I've started putting my energy into things that actually fill me up. I got a promotion at work. I moved to a new apartment with more light and less ghosts. Zoe and I started a little tradition of healing Sundays, brunch, journaling, and terrible reality TV. And I started telling my story. What you're hearing right now. This is part of that. I realize there are probably so many people out there who've been told they're too sensitive, too emotional, too fragile by parents, partners, friends, and then punished for it. So if that's you, if you're listening and thinking, this is my mother, This is my ex. This is my life. I want you to hear this. You are not weak for feeling deeply. You are not broken for needing support. You are not less than because someone else decided you are difficult to love. What makes you strong is walking away from people who benefit from you believing you're weak. That was my revenge. Not the speech. Not the email. It was choosing myself. Finally, fully, my mother convinced my boyfriend to marry my sister because she thought my softness made me disposable. But in the end, her manipulation cost her both daughters. And I'm still here, still feeling everything, still standing. If you've ever been betrayed by someone who was supposed to love you, a parent, a partner, a friend, and you've been told you're too much or too fragile, I'd love to hear your story. Drop it in the comments if you're comfortable. You never know who might feel less alone because of your words. And if you want more stories like this about revenge, healing, and taking your power back, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. This is Harley, signing off. Thank you for listening to my story.